Hey y'all, welcome back to Scared of Beautiful. My name is Plez, and we are here today to discuss episode 3 of the Queens of R&B with SWV and Xscape. If you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you all are hitting those notification bells, like the video, and share the content. If you are one of my faithful beauties and bows, I love you. Thank you for checking out another one of my reviews. Let's get right into it. Episode 3 is titled Dis-Chord, and that's because there was a lot of discord going on in this episode. The ladies have been giving us drama in episode after episode, and so far we're here for it. Social media is going crazy. Let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So we start back off with this episode. Tasha is still in good old Nashville where she went for her secret meeting with the Motown Gospel executives, and she meets up with Taj from SWV. We see them going to the National Museum of African American Music. I'm going to have to take a trip to Nashville because I would love to check that museum out. I love history, I love music, so best of both worlds for me. Anyway, we see them going through all of the different exhibits. Tosh talks about her love for NWA, LL Cool J. Tasha is like, oh, we were raised in the church. We weren't able to listen to that sort of music, but when we got away with our cousins, it was all good. So I definitely know what you're talking about. Taj recounts this story of how Destiny's Child would meet them, seek them out every time they were in Houston. They were like little sisters to SWV. They took them under their wing. They would take them to different autograph signings. And that was just really good to hear that in the 90s, these ladies really were taking on that big sister role and mentoring the young ladies coming behind them. Next, we see Xscape on the wall. And Taj is like, this is why I brought you here. I wanted you to see your legacy. I wanted you to see what you've built. And in that moment, Tasha does say that she's proud of what she and her group mates have accomplished. She's proud that one day she will have grandchildren who will be able to look at all their grandmother has done throughout her life. So it was a really feel good moment. But then, of course, we get into a little of the mess. Taj is like, what is going on with you and your sister? Like, have you all been able to resolve anything? So Tasha gets to explaining that, well, Tamika really body shamed me. Something it's been going on for years in the group about me having a smaller butt than everybody else. Taj is on her grown woman, thank God. And it's like, I know y'all ain't over here arguing over booties. We're in our late 40s and 50s. Like I said last review, sis, just buy you one if it's that serious. And honestly, every time I think now production is being messy, and I've seen several shots of Tasha walking with her backside facing, and her butt is not small. She has a round butt. It's not the big bubble butt that her sister or Lily or Tiny or any of the rest have paid for, but it's a round butt that's proportionate to her body. Nevertheless, she felt body shamed. And she also says it's not just that. She was very disrespectful to my mother. There's just a lot of underlying issues. Taj wants them to get back to the basics, get back to the beginning of how the group got together and remember those good feelings. Tasha says, well, things change, people change. Sometimes we can't go back to the beginning. And she shares with Taj that she had this meeting with Motown Gospel and that she may be getting her own solo record deal. Taj is like, what does that mean for the group? And Tasha's basically like, she doesn't care. She's ready to get herself a taste of freedom. Y'all, at this point, I'm just completely over Tasha. If she wants her freedom, Fantasia wrote a song about it. Like to hear, here it go.
Go ahead and free yourself. Go ahead and free yourself.
Let's hear it again.
Go ahead and free yourself. Go ahead and free yourself.
Free yourself, sis. It doesn't take all of this. Use your words. Say thank you, but no thank you. And keep going the way of your solo career. We hope it works out. But all of this turmoil and back and forth, it does seem like you're using the group. It seems like every time the group gets hot, you think that means you're hot. And as I've explained before, it's not what that means. It's not what that means at all. We like you in the group. If a solo career was for you at this point in life, it would have come to fruition. But timing is everything. And I'm never one to stop people from following their dreams. Go for it. But don't get everybody else mixed up in your crosshairs. Like, it's just not that serious. Next, we see Coco meeting with her friends for drinks. It's really good to see the SWV ladies in action with their family members, with their friends. They seem to be much more down to earth, more friendly, more grounded. And I'm liking that for the balance part of this show because I couldn't keep up with Tasha and Tamika and Tiny and Candy and the drama the whole time. This is what I mean about our housewife shows too. I want to see more balance. So I'm glad that we have this balance with SWV. We see them meeting for the friends. Coco lets them know that SWV is celebrating their 30th year. Y'all, I feel like it was just yesterday. I remember when Right Here and all of these songs, I'm So Into You, came out. So I can't believe it's been 30 years. Somebody's getting old, not me. 2017, we learned that Coco was diagnosed with bipolar depression. She has manic episodes where she has really high highs, really low lows, but she decided to get the help that she needed after she was having thoughts about offing someone. I would say that's definitely time to seek help. She said that she's glad she got the help and turned to medication versus being in jail. And I'm glad you did too, sis. We don't want to see you in jail behind something that you could have gotten help for. And I really applaud her for being open and being vulnerable. Mental health is so stigmatized in our community. It's good to see mature women, Black women who are role models in our community, standing in their truth and saying, look, I had this going on. I went and got some help. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. Sometimes there are things, chemical imbalances, many issues, past traumas, PTSD, things that are beyond our control, and we need a little help. Nothing wrong with that. So I was glad that she shared that story. Her friends remind her that she needs to take care of herself, and Coco lets us know that she's 52, but her JJ is still 21. Her little friend tried to call her old, and Coco was like, "No, ma'am, I still got that juicy, yeah." Y'all, okay, that was a little bit TMI, but I'm here for it. Coco is had to put somebody in their place a little bit, let her know she still got the Aquafina going on. Can't be mad at it. Next, we see SWV flying into Pittsburgh for a show. Taj talks about how age has affected their touring. When they were young, they could eat what they want, sleep how they wanted. Now you got to eat right and you need your rest. Lily is just blessed that they still have an audience where they can do these tours and go around the country making people smile and relive their 20s, 30s, 40s, however old you were in the 90s, right? So next we see Tamika. She's preparing for a meeting at her home with her mama, Mama Scott, y'all. She cooked her favorite meal. And so her mother comes in. They're happy to see each other, we think. It's been a while. The last time they saw each other was very contentious. So Mama wants to know what is the issue between her, Tasha, and Tamika. Well, Tamika says it's because you show favoritism. Plain and simple. The mother says, "How do I show favoritism?" And Tamika says, "Well, you let Tasha express herself." Her mother cuts her off and says, "I let Tasha express herself because she doesn't come at me disrespectfully." So while we're going through this conversation, y'all, let's just call it what we see, right? Problem number one, she cut her off. Anytime you're trying to have discourse with somebody and you're trying to actually get to the root of a problem or make change, you have to respectfully listen to the other person. Listen, active listening means you are listening to understand, to process and understand that person's perspective, not to react or respond. And in this moment, Tamika's mother is definitely listening to react and respond. As soon as Tamika says something, her mother is right there to defend her actions and why she's letting Tamika express herself, Tasha express herself more than Tamika does. So that was red flag number one. Next, her mother goes into this diatribe saying that she is the fifth member of Xscape. She's yelling at Tamika about how she put a microphone in Tamika's hand when she was a little girl. She has kept her and her sisters together, and she kept the household together when their father walked out on them and left them struggling. Another red flag that we want to look at in this scene is check the body language of Tamika. She completely shuts down. She's looking down and off to the side. She looks completely dejected. Her mother is yelling at her like she's a 7, 8, 9 year old little girl again. And you can literally see Tamika go back in her shell and actually somewhat become that little girl who feels helpless against her mother. She talks in her confessional about her mother and father being divorced. Now, I'm not going to argue with her mother's perspective, but a divorce is a little different than someone walking out on you. In my mind, walking out on you is, the story we hear about the father who went to the store to get milk and eggs and never came back, right? That's a little different than a man saying, "I want a divorce." Now, of course, because of the dynamics of families back then, and even now, with her mother being a housewife, if she had no job, no type of education or very little education, and had always relied on her husband, that of course was going to mean it would be a struggle. But I would think now, of course, people get alimony, child support orders and don't actually pay them. But without knowing more about the situation, the mother just comes off extremely angry and bitter. And the reality is, Tamika should not have to bear the brunt of that anger. This is why I keep telling y'all I'm missing the good auntie Iyanla. Iyanla did several shows where she would always remind when we have these family dynamics and you could tell the women were still so angry and bitter with the man in their lives who did them wrong, that as a mother, how you experience that man or as your husband has nothing to do with how these children experience this man as their father. And in this moment, that's what Mama Scott is doing. It's like she's berating Tamika for having some type of love or relationship with her father. And Tamika tells us this in the confessional, that she feels she's always bared the brunt of her mother's anger because she's a daddy's girl. She looks like her father. She has mannerisms like her father. She loves her father, and her mother really never healed from their divorce, their separation, and is angered because Tamika shows love for her father. She feels like she should be angry and resentful as she is for the father leaving the family. It's just not a fair premise, right? Um, and honestly, the mama needs some therapy. That was 30 plus, probably almost 40 plus years ago. That's a long time to live angry and bitter with someone. And honestly, it's doing nothing but affecting her and now affecting her relationship with her children. Mama says that she tells them when they are right or wrong. She has to be the one to do that. And Tamika says, no, you only tell me when I'm wrong. You never tell Tasha when she's wrong. And I'm not always wrong every time. Sometimes I'm right. And in this situation, i.e., that money situation, Mama, Tamika's right. Mama says that Tasha is crushed and can't believe that Tamika would hurt her like this. And Tamika's like, no, she's not, Mama. Like, you're doing the most. Then she says, well, you talked about Tasha's husband. Tamika said, because he wronged me. He is constantly in my business, in the group's business. He is not staying in his place. Then the mama says, well, Tamika, if you can sleep at night. And she's like, if I can sleep at night, mama, come on. Be fair about this situation. I wish you would go as hard for me as you go for Tasha and Rocky. And from what we see, she's telling the truth. Mama, this whole conversation was one sided. This conversation was about you getting things right with Tamika, not defending yourself, not defending Tasha and Rocky. That's a separate situation. So I really hope they sit down and get some group therapy, y'all. Tamika goes back to the stolen money. Mama says they didn't take anything from you. We don't believe you, sis. Um, Tamika then apologizes to her mother for any perceived disrespect, but she says that if you cannot respect me as an adult and my feelings, I'm gonna have to step back. I can't keep getting beat up. I've been getting beat up my whole life. So her mama gets very, again, upset and emotional and says, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? You're going to step back. And so then her mother grabs her, tells her that she loves her, she apologizes, and that she can see that Tamika is hurting. And if she has been more of a mother, if Tamika feels like she's been more of a mother to her, to Tasha, excuse me, than she has to her, then the mother apologizes and makes her give her some eye contact and tells her that she loves her more than anything. They embrace and cry it out. And Tamika is hopeful that they can move forward. I just want to give Tamika a big round of applause. She definitely deserves a standing ovation for standing up for herself and really setting boundaries. It was a good initial job of putting a boundary in place. Mama, you got to start respecting me and my feelings. I'm going to step back. You'll learn in therapy if any of you out there ever decide to go, and if the family goes. Sometimes boundaries need to be more concrete. If if Tasha and I are in an argument and you interject, I'm going to get up and leave the house. They need to know the consequence of the action right then. And then you have to follow through. And I know for some people in our community, that's weird, that's new, that's disrespectful, but it's called boundaries for a reason. And it's called preserving your peace. Just because someone is your mother, your elder, your aunt, your uncle, your father, they're not entitled to treat you any kind of way. And if their interaction with you leaves you feeling degraded, depressed, anxious, it might be time to limit that interaction. I'm never saying cut your parents off. I would never cut my parents off. So I would never advocate that to anybody else. But boundaries are definitely needed. So I am very happy for Tamika. And honestly, the mother apologizing was a great first step. I would love it if we see this go forward and they are open to some type of family counseling, because I think this family could really benefit from it. But the apology is a good first step. And I want the mother to be open to counseling that is not just in the church. You know, being raised in the Deep South, sometimes the church, particularly if they're Baptist, which I am, has not so good opinions on therapists or psychologists. And they only want you to go to someone that's trained, like from a Christian school. That's cool. But sometimes you need a third opinion, someone outside of your church who does not know your mother, who does not know you or your sister, a completely neutral, unbiased party who can listen to all sides and help you all work through it, right? More importantly, since the mother keeps throwing up God and religion and all of these things, I need her to remember First Corinthians 13, 4 through 7, which talks about love. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. I hate that I have a typo there, but y'all can look it up. First Corinthians 13 chapter verses 4 through 7, and that was supposed to be it does not dishonor others. And I would like Mama Scott to really reflect on those scriptures and think before she says things to her children, mainly Tamika. You know, everything that she said in that diatribe about being the fifth member was full of pride. You supported your daughters, but you weren't a fifth member. Sorry. If that's the case, is Rocky the sixth member? You know, were all the other mothers members as well? No. They were supporting their children. And there comes this like fine line where you have parents that are supporting their children versus parents who are living through their children. And unfortunately, I think Mama Scott might be a little bit of the latter. All right, let's move on. Candy meets with Taj at her house. Um, Y'all, Candy is hilarious to me. When it comes to the coin, she is always about the coin. She's talking to her sister about going to get the big $1 billion Mega Millions Powerball ticket. Look, Candy's gonna add to the bottom line by any means necessary. I can't be mad at her. She says that of all the ladies in SWV, she's been the closest to Taj. Taj gets there. She talks about their trip to Africa. They had fun, went on a safari. We see some cute little lions in the Lion Club sanctuary. And then Taj tells Candy about Tasha meeting in Nashville with record companies for this possible gospel deal. Um, Candy says this is just like Escape all over again when they were younger. This is the old Tasha. Tasha says she can relate because Coco did the same thing when she went solo. She shopped a solo deal and left her and Lily high and dry. Taj says that they would love to have Tasha on board, but if Tasha does not choose to get on board for whatever reason, she can't stop the vision. They have to keep moving forward. I firmly agree. She doesn't want to be there. You can't force her to be there. The other ladies still have great harmonies. Got to keep it moving. Next, we see Lily meeting with her son. She asks if she's interested, excuse me, if he is interested in the bartender being his stepdaddy. And he's like, nah, cut that out. She says she does not do the whole my kids are my friends thing. Her son is a rapper, says he's a little talented. I think I vaguely remember seeing him on one of the Love and Hip Hop's, not Love and Hip Hop, Growing Up Hip Hop, but I haven't watched Growing Up Hip Hop in forever. So I think he was on there maybe for a minute though. Um, but currently he is solely relying on Lily and her resources to get him on. Not a good thing, Lily. Got to push the baby bird out of the nest. The little thing, age thing said he was 32. He should not still be relying on you and your resources to get him in this rap game, especially not at 32. He's about to age out, so he got to get to it or, go get his CDL or something. Find him another career. Um, she does say that he has to ultimately do it on his own, but I didn't feel like they were urgent enough. All the hustle and grind talk, he didn't really seem that motivated to me, but I could be wrong. Next, she lets us know that she has an alter ego, Sister Hot Pussy, where she will be doing erotica stories. Her alter ego was very negative for her. Excuse me, her autobiography was negative, kind of a bad experience for her. So now she wants to do something more fun and risque. She is very vulnerable as well. Her and Coco, again, everybody on Team SWV is really opening up. And I like this part to see the ladies as whole women. She talks about how she has tried to shield her children from all of her struggles. When the group broke up in 1998, she was homeless, living in her car. She says that she would drive around New York all night to reduce the chances of any SA happening to her. And she would go and sleep in the Yankee Stadium parking lot to wake up the next morning. Then she says she finally decided to get herself back together and back on track. She went back to school and got her GED, and she got an office job and was able to regain control of her finances. Now she's on the other side. She sees the other side of the rainbow. So she's sharing this with her son to let him know that you can't skip the process. You can't skip the grind. You can't skip the hustle. Even though I'm your mother, you're still going to go through your own um, trials and tribulations in life. And so that was a very important message to share. And I wish more parents would share with their children the ups and downs of life, not just you see where we are now and how much I provide for you now. Really share maybe when you were sleeping on that air mattress or in your car or when you couldn't, were only eating off of the 99-cent menu. It's a part of life that, unless you come from serious generational wealth, we almost all go through at some point in time. And I think it's very important to pass those lessons on to our younger generations. Next, we see Tasha in a studio session for these gospel songs, y'all. She hasn't signed yet, but she believes that she's hopeful that her change is coming. Rocky comes in looking like a bootleg Dave Chappelle. Every time I look at this man, I'm like, oh my God. He literally looks like Dave Chappelle's cousin. And starts reenacting Ike and Tina Turner, which was very interesting. whenever I see men post these Ike Turner memes from What's Love Got to Do with It and Eat the Cake anime, there's always a little truth in most jokes. So take that however you're going to take it. He says that he should get in the studio. Again, his ego is very domineering and very interesting. It's very overinflated, to say the least. Tasha lets her know that she got lets him know that she got a text from Candy about coming to SWV's rehearsal to talk. Rocky said it doesn't seem like Tamika wants to mend things or reconcile because she keeps making false accusations about him, but he forgives her. Forgives her for what? You nor Tasha, y'all have yet to give actual specifics. What exactly is Tamika lying about? Exactly. Are you saying you never received royalties? You never got a check in her name? Like I need specifics. Yes, we found out about the royalties, not this generic she's lying, she's lying, she's lying. It never happened, it never happened, it never happened. What never happened? We need to know more. Otherwise, we're definitely believing Tamika. He asks, has Tasha told Xscape about the record deal? You already know that answer. This is what I mean about fake and manufactured reality TV. Y'all are having stupid conversations that we both know you've already had before you got on camera. Tasha says she hasn't told Xscape about the potential deal. She wants to keep it close to her chest because when she tells people about her goals and dreams, things don't seem to go in they don't seem to go well for her. She wants to wait until the ink is dry on the contract. I would believe that if you hadn't told Taj. So you don't want to tell certain people. Just say that. You don't want to share it with these ladies, but you've shared it with other people. So you can't have it both ways. Anytime you speak your dreams and goals out loud, somebody could go and hate on you or things could just fall through, right? You not telling Xscape, specifically your group members, is a different level of strategy that you're working. I don't believe it has anything to do with you not thinking it's going to work out. You want to keep the group on the line, on the string, just in case. Is what it is. Rocky says, well, you need to go to that meeting, and if you do nothing else, make sure you get on the mic and remind them who you are. They know who she is. The good thing is her sister can sing and the other ladies can sing as well. Like, I don't get the need at this point to try to keep validating yourself. We know you can sing, sis. But a good voice is not all it takes to make in the music industry. It takes way more. And I'm really sad for her that she's stuck on this I have the best voice, I have the best voice, I have the best voice. It's been over 30 years. You should know, well, almost 30 years for y'all. You should know that it takes more. And I know that might suck, but it really does. We've all know the music industry. You have people who can't sing a lick and become superstars. You have people that sing mediocre but can dance pretty well and they do well. You have people that can't really do either, but they have a look. It's all in the package. It's a full package. And unfortunately, I don't think Tasha has that. Now, can she reach a level of success? Of course. But Tasha herself and Rocky keep calling her Beyonce. Will she ever reach Beyonce levels? No. So don't make that comparison. Kelly Price levels, yes. Jasmine Sullivan levels, eh. Jennifer Hudson levels, maybe. Nah, because Jennifer Hudson got a talk show right now. Anyway, we next see Coco and her son, whose stage name is J. Michael. He's singing a cappella. You know, he's cool, has a good voice. Again, not one that I think will make it to superstardom, but what do I know? Just my opinion. Coco says the lines get blurred sometimes between them because they're like best friends. Jalen says he doesn't want to go back to school because he really wants to sing. Excuse me, y'all. And Coco says that she's paying for school, so he's going. He can sing on the weekends. The music industry is super fickle. One day they love you, the next day they don't. And he says he's not going to sacrifice his happiness to make everyone else happy. So Coco gets him to call his grandmother to get her opinion and let him know what's going on. Sorry about that, y'all. Hit the mute button. They called the grandmother, and Jalen really starts crying. He gets super emotional because he doesn't like that both his grandmother and his mother are, in his opinion, not supporting his dreams. He says he shouldn't be forced to do something that he really doesn't want to do. And Coco is having a hard time because she says that Jalen has wanted to be a dentist since he was a little boy. It's stable, it's a great career. There aren't many black dentists. And she really wants him to have something stable because the entertainment industry, you know, can go up, down, and all over the place. She wants him to be able to really provide for himself and have a good living. So he suggests to his grandmother that he do a gap year to figure it out. And the grandmother surprisingly says, that's a great idea. Coco is like, what? Say what now? She says that her mother was basically like the good sis Shirley Ralph in Sister Act 2 when she played the mama to Lauryn Hill of, nah, you don't need to do that singing stuff. You need to go to school. So, as people always say, parents, when it comes to these grandchildren, they have amnesia of how they were as parents and they become a little bit more relaxed. So, the grandmother supports him taking this gap year. Coco is not happy about that. I think the gap year is actually probably a good idea, but there need to be firm parameters on that gap year. You need to measure success. You need to put hard numbers around success. You need to be able to make this X amount of income off of social media streams and any type of shows you may do, performances you may do, modeling you may do. He has to be able to show that he can sustain and, more importantly, invest that money to keep it growing. Keep after his craft, right? I personally would at least like to see him because the dental school is, being a dentist, that's a long road. You have to do your undergrad, then you have to get into dental school. So at the very least, he should focus on getting at least an undergraduate degree. But, a gap year to see how it goes, why not? But ultimately, he needs to be able to be self-sufficient, right? I think one really good thing would be for him to talk to Lily. You know, talk to the people who were going through hard times when his mother had a solo deal, you know, show what this life is really like. I'm sure Lily has imparted or will impart some knowledge, but I think there are so many people that Coco has access to that can really tell him about the ups and downs of the music industry. And you just never know, right? Right now, for Jay's demographic, you have Lil Nas X, you have Saucy Santana. So he may be able to carve out a niche in that market in the R&B lane. So I wouldn't necessarily just discount it because he is 19. He has time to go back to school, but I would like to see some really hard numbers of you need to hit this, and this before we take this seriously and allow you to completely quit school altogether. Next, we see SWV rehearsing at the big meeting with their managers there. SWV has other tour options. If Xscape can't get it together and it won't work out, they got to book their next gig. Um, Currently, the proposal with Xscape is one date at one venue, and it's about a month away. So if they're going to make this work, they need to make it work and get the paperwork signed now. Candy did tell Tiny about Tasha shopping around a solo deal. Tiny says that she had no knowledge of that and was just getting her normal resistance from Tasha. Tasha shows up to the meeting. Tiny greets her. One thing I love about Tiny is her personality. Whether she's at odds with you or not, she's always going to be welcoming. She looks like she wants to have fun and is open for compromise and trying to make things work. So she could have came with a hard attitude of heard you was shopping around a deal, but she didn't. She greeted her sister normally. Let's go in here and handle business. Tasha says that this would ultimately be great for the culture and she wants to move past the drama. Tosh says how this joint show would be great for everyone and asks everyone to put their hands in. Tasha is slow to move, but she finally puts her hand in, and here we are. We look like we may be there. One show in 1 month. And then Candy starts talking about the business. So Candy says that their last tour, they headlined all of their shows. So what are they going to do about this show and the billing of the show? SWV's manager and Taj both suggest that they do a co-headline billing. They're two legendary groups. This is a collaboration. Let's just both headline and make it work. Candy says that they want top billing on any tours that they do, and that they've been headlining all the tours since they have reunited back in 2016 or 2017. Taj questions if this means that they want to be paid more or if they want their name in bigger letters. Like, what exactly does top billing mean to them? Ultimately, Coco and Lily get up, they walk off, they feel disrespected. Taj follows them shortly thereafter and says, it's a hell no for them. So there are lots of things, right? Number one, bad timing. Even if they were going to have that conversation, SWV's management is there. Xscape's management is not there. I don't even know if they have management because the last episode or two ago, they were talking about getting new management. Those types of business conversations don't even need to happen unless both parties' managers are there, the attorneys are there, we're ready to agree to some terms. I know what billing means in the entertainment industry, but you can also make anything work for you and your situation, right? Especially since it's only a one-off show. One, you can negotiate your own rates, and the other side never has to see the others. That happens all the time. Candy knows in Housewives. It's a collaboration. You have 6 or 7 ladies, but each person is not sitting at the table negotiating their individual contracts. And they all get the same peach. So you can do a co-headline or a co-bill, and my money be what my money needs to be, and your money is over here where your money is. Has nothing to do with the billing. Your money is your money. If you want to set your amount at whatever you're used to getting paid, that's how you negotiate. And you say, this is how much we expect, and we're not doing it for anything less. Now, if SWV takes a different rate, that's on them. But I refuse to believe that there are so many megastars that have done co-headlining tours. I know we don't talk about him anymore, but the man from Chicago, King of R&B, and Jay-Z did a Best of Both Worlds tour back in the early 2000s. They were both at the height of their game, at the peak of their game, and it was both of them together. Chicago man would come out and do a set, Jay-Z would come out and do a set. Chicago man would come out, Jay-Z would come out. Co-headline. Doesn't have to be this hard. A lot of people, I think, respond to Candy negatively because Candy really is about her coin and she's about business. Because she's about business, she comes off kind of hard and mean. I don't know if mean is the right word. She's very direct and dry, right? And honestly, in business, there is very little emotion. You know, Brother Nino Brown told us best.
It's always business, never personal.
Always business, never personal. But because some people lead with personal and emotion, and look, it's an emotional thing. These are two girl mega groups, and they want to come together and do something warm and fuzzy for the fans. But even with doing that, you still have to be about the business. So I can't fault Candy for wanting to be about her business. If I'm looking at it from strictly a business perspective, right? She's about her business. Now, the personal part of me, the plez part of me, not the business minded side, says, Candy, Tiny, y'all, it's one show. Compromise on your fee, compromise on the billing to get one show. You can even put standards and rates in your contract. If this show does X amount of numbers, then we get this amount on the back end. If this show does this amount of numbers for our next shows, if we have more shows, our expected rate will be blank, 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 blank. There's ways to make it work. You know, at the end of the day, we just want to see these great only, right? So I think they can make it work. I think they had to bring this up because one, it's business. Two, it's a reality show. So we need drama, even though this show has been full of drama. You can always have some more. And it is naturally occurring drama, right? Money is always a hard thing to discuss, particularly in our community, right? Candy is letting y'all know that she doesn't do anything for charity. She learned her lesson with Kim and Tardy for the Party and Portia and all these other people that she helps, and they bite her in the butt. So I can't be mad at her, y'all, for wanting to be about her coin. What do you think? Let me know your opinion, and I We'll see you all on the next video. I have something else coming up because social media has been going crazy left and right today, and I got a couple thoughts on it. So I will see y'all next time. Bye.